Welcome back for another video. One of the best game weeks I've ever had in terms of game week rank. 96 points all out on the bench boost, so that was a game week rank of 47k. I mean, ultimately the Vardiol no-show technically did result in a weaker bench boost because Mukiele's mega haul came off the bench, but I might not even have owned Mukiele in the first place if I wasn't setting up for a game week 7 or 8 bench boost. But yeah, anyway, 17 points, incredibly lucky. Like, the only reason I actually picked him was because he'd done really well for defensive contributions, and that was it. And obviously Sunderland have been quite good, a couple of good fixtures, but yeah, very lucky. Elsewhere, Arsenal with another clean sheet. They haven't conceded a shot on goal for the second game in a row now. The last time Arsenal didn't concede a shot on target for 2 games in a row was 2003, which was the season they won the league even. Bruno with an unexpected 8-pointer as well, away at Anfield, as Man United got a surprise win over Liverpool. It was just a Bruno assist, but this is the other thing with Bruno, like when he gets a return, the way he plays is so tailor-made for the bonus point system that he'll often end up on bonus points, even with just 1 assist. So yeah, that was a 6-point assist essentially. Plus of course there's the penalties, there's the set pieces, defensive contributions, so I still think he's a great pick. Haaland continuing to farm the league as well, a brace, 26 points for his captain. He's 10 points clear of where he was in his record debut season at this stage. Even Dubravka showed up for the bench boost, 9-pointer for him. He's been an absolute hero for me this season. I've only played him in Game Week 2 and Game Week 8, and those were the 2 games that Burnley have won, and the 2 games that they've kept a clean sheet in. The only downside really was Anderson going off injured, plus the Vardiol benching. We're still waiting to hear on the severity of that injury. Hopefully not a bad one. Anyway, 5 free transfers, so thank you first of all for bearing with me after I roll every week. The good news is I'm absolutely making at least 1 transfer this week. Let's have a quick look at how you got on first. Tim says, it's actually not bad, I just don't have Haaland. He finished on 54 points all out and a pretty big red arrow. I mean, Salah and no Haaland at this stage is absolutely crazy. He's scored in 12 consecutive games now, Haaland, in all competitions after another goal in the Champions League on Tuesday night. I don't know what more you need to see from him to buy him. Benja says, highest points this season so far. He activated the wildcard and knocked out the park with 93 points on the wildcard. Returns from Raya, Timber, Mukiele, Gakpo, Saka, Semenyo, Haaland and Thiago. Nice work. Will says, I'm throwing my friend under the bus here. I'm sure he's going to be delighted with this. 29 points his friend finished on. Another no Haaland team, but it was Isak and Salah the premiums. So Semenyo captain, and it was Sanchez with 5 points, their biggest scorer. And lastly Keith, who says, best bench boost in my 9 seasons playing. 22 points bench boosted. An overall score of 112 points. A game week rank of 1.8k. Absolute dream week that. Well played. So let's get into the team for Game Week 9 then and transfer plans this week. Raya has a home fixture to Palace, which has got Arsenal top of the Game Week 9 clean sheet odds, given a 46% chance. Chelsea second of 44%, Newcastle and Wolves 40%. There's been a lot of questions about selling Raya to free up a slot to buy Saka, and it is a move that I could see paying off, but Raya's been good value. He's on more points than Salah in fact, for just the 8.7 million cheaper. I'm also not as convinced by other keepers after Raya, but that's down to personal preference. I mean, Pope's been solid. Likewise, Petrovic not too bad, but I'm reluctant to go double Bournemouth defence. Maybe from Game Week 12 it's got potential. In defence, it's Vardiol, Gabriel and Senesi. Despite the benching, I'm actually pleased that I picked Vardiol because obviously got that assist and the clean sheet in Game Week 7, I believe it was. So he's outscored Tarkowski by 5 points in 1 fewer game, and it was only a choice between those 2 for me on the wildcard. But yeah, that benching was really unexpected. He was benched in Croatia's final international break game, so I thought he'd be in line for a start, and I definitely misjudged his nailedness there. I mean, I know Pep Roulette is very unpredictable, but I had Vardiol down as one of those that will start, 9 out of 10 games, which would make him a perfectly good pick if that's the case. But maybe he'll go on a long run of starts now, but I'm looking to potentially sell this week now. Is Gabriel the best defender in the world right now, or is that too far? Arsenal have conceded 3 goals all season. He scored and kept a clean sheet in Game Week 6. He assisted and got a clean sheet in Game Week 8. And Tuesday night against Atletico Madrid, he came away with a goal, assist and a clean sheet in the 4-0 win. I mean, you'd think Senesi is the best defender on the planet with the hype the FPL community have given him this season. That Anderson injury is not ideal because after this game, Forest home for Bournemouth, They've got City and Villa away back to back. So the plan was for Anderson to come in there because Fulham have got Wolves home and Everton away. I can use Mukiele in Gameweek 10. They've got Everton home, so it's not too bad. And if I replace Vardyl, then I'll be aiming to give myself some additional cover there. So in midfield, it's Ndiaye, Semenyo, Bruno and Reinders. I'm starting to waver on Reinders as an FPL pick, you know. He's been okay, but I want the likes of, you know, Sarr, Enzo, Saka, who are all better picks than Reinders. So something's got to give. I've only got so much room for new players in my midfield. He played 90 minutes the first 5 games, but then it was 82, then it was 75, and then it was 58 minutes. And he was benched in the Champions League as well, despite that really early sub last game week on the weekend. So you really cannot predict Pep, and in theory he has to start next game week, but I'm looking to potentially sell. More on that in a minute. Man United have won 2 in a row for the first time under Amram. Will that guy finally get the 5 wins needed to cut his hair? The next 3 are Brighton home, Forest away, Spurs away. They couldn't do it, could they? Beyond those fixtures, long term they're actually great for Man United though. Everton home, Palace away after that, then it's West Ham home, Wolves away, Bournemouth home. So I can see myself setting for getting Bruno for a while. And Ndiaye has been surprisingly amazing for Defcons. Looking here at which players are best for DCs per 90, you know, it's the likes of Caicedo, Anderson, Xhaka in midfield. But then Ndiaye is right up there with 10.97 per 90. Remember, midfielders need 12, so he's hit that in 38% of his games, averaging basically 11 per 90. It's pretty much all defensive mids when you look at who's been the best, but then you've got Ndiaye and Bruno showing up. I've seen some Semenyo captaincies this week, and as great as he's been, I just can't see myself ever captaining him. And it's Dyche's first game in charge as well. I'm just happy to have Semenyo, honestly. He's registered 4.13 expected goal involvement this season. Haaland's on more than double that with 9.44. Mateta with 8.23 is pretty wild as well, honestly. João Pedro, for comparison, not even on the table here. He's on 2.02 XGI, so Mateta's on, what's that, just over 4 times the XGI. So I'm already thinking about that switch in Game Week 10 potentially. So yeah, up front it's João Pedro, Haaland and Gyökeres. I'll need a big score from João Pedro to really want to keep him now. There is that temptation to swap to Mateta, as I say, in Game Week 10, which is very, very tempting. Like, on the one hand, if you compare their fixture runs side by side, it's a pretty equal run. Chelsea's Sunderland, Spurs, Wolves, Burnley, Arsenal, Leeds, Bournemouth. Palace's is Arsenal. That's irrelevant this week, so I'll keep João Pedro. Then it's Brentford, Brighton, Wolves, Man United, Burnley and Fulham. So that's sort of where I'm at for Game Week 10, but let's see how this weekend goes. I think if I was in a better position rank-wise when I'd wildcarded, I might have gone without João Pedro. Maybe that's the wrong thing to do, but his ownership was ridiculously high at the time, and yeah, rightly or wrongly, I did include him on the wildcard to sort of stabilise things a bit. Those that have been brave enough to go against him have benefited massively in some cases, but it does depend on who you went instead. You know, like the likes of Richarlison haven't done anything either recently. So a brace for Gyökeres in the Champions League, a Saka blank. I mean, you can see what it means to the team and not just Gyökeres himself to see him scoring. If the defence carries on as it is and Gyökeres starts banging in the goals, then who's going to stop them? I said on the Transfer Plans video and also on last week's content that I'm still not sold on the Gyökeres to Saka switch just yet. I've got a feeling they'll both do well and it really could go either way in terms of who comes out on top. So let's see how this game it goes and then go from there. Gyökeres stays. So the bench is Dubravka, Stack, Anderson and Mukiele. 0.3 million in the bank, 5 free transfers. I'm in a funny position in a weird way where my team isn't terrible, but I've got 5 transfers, so I need to spend at least 1, and there's so many routes I could go down. You know, there's the Gyökeres to Gue, Stack to Saka option. There's Ndiaye to Enzo. I could do Vardyl to Van Dijk. They're all options I've considered. Maresca says that Enzo is in training now, who I wanted to buy last week, but delayed it in the end because he hadn't trained. He now has trained, and as long as he's in their Champions League squad and potentially involved, whether it's off the bench or starting, then I'm looking to buy him this week for Sunderland home. His underlying data has been fantastic, potentially on pens, and it's the same points I was making in last week's videos basically, so I won't repeat myself too much. But the question is, how do I buy him? So as I say, Ndiaye to Enzo is an option, but Ndiaye's home to Spurs, and as we saw just now, he's done well for DCs, so he's on pens. I think he's alright to keep hold, honestly. So my current thinking is actually Reinders to Enzo and Vardyl to Keane. I'm not 100% on Keane just yet. Like, there are some other potential picks, like Richards, who's also 4.5 mil. But he's got Arsenal away, so I'd probably have to start Mukiele versus Chelsea. Or maybe if Anderson's okay, I'll play him against Newcastle and consider that more. I'm not sure if I want Munoz instead as well. So yeah, Rodon's also a consideration. He's got West Ham home next, and Leeds are actually 4th best defence for expected goals conceded. Just to sort of paint a picture of what I could do in the next few weeks. So let's say I did Keane and Enzo in this week. In Game Week 10, I could do João Pedro to Mateta, dependent on price changes, and I could do Stack to Saka and Gyökeres to Gue. Stack's just not ended up the pick that I'd hoped he would be. Like, he's off corner duties and he's not even getting 90 minutes recently. It is quite tight money-wise. I'd have 0.1 million wiggle room, so I could end up just going Rodon just to guarantee I can afford all those moves. But yeah, just on Keane again. Branthwaite's undergone hamstring surgery. He's had a setback, so he's going to be out for several months, I expect. And Keane's actually played well this season, despite his reputation. A lot of Everton fans feel that he's actually been the better centre-back between him and Tarkowski. There is that slight doubt maybe Moyes could play O'Brien as centre-back occasionally, but he's not so far. But if he does that, then it would mean Garner, Coleman or Patterson at right-back. But I don't think Everton fans want that. Garner's better when he's used in midfield, and I don't think Moyes can trust Coleman or Patterson really. They'll probably be cut players. Keane's got 9.99 defensive contributions per 90 this season, which isn't as high as Tarkowski, but it's still top 10 for defenders this season. And the fixtures aren't bad. They aren't amazing either, but he could be a really handy pick for only 4.5 mil, and he's got an eye for goal. If Enzo's not available, then I might just go back to what I said earlier, which is Vardy or to Van Dijk instead. I still think Van Dijk's a good pick. Anyway, enough rambling. Thank you for listening all the way through. If you did, I know a lot of you fast forward. You know who you are. Hit subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon for the next one.